So you were saying how a mechalel Shabbat, it doesn't count in a minyan.
Okay.
So do we have an obligation to like investigate if he is a mechalel Shabbat? Do we just trust him if we ask him? Like, how does that work?
So it's a very good question. Do we have a obligation to find out who's a mechalel Shabbat or not? So if you are going to a minyan, you're going to pray in a big knesset, and there's a lot of people. There's 15, there's 25, there's 35, there's 45. You only need 10 for a minyan. Minyan means 10. If you have more than 15, 20, 30, you don't have any issues. You don't need to, unless you know people are all driving to shul, you could assume that there's at least a minyan there of kosher Jews. You don't have to worry about anything. If you don't have a reason to question anybody, then there's nothing for you to worry about. But if you have a bit knesset that's very small, that every day they're like fighting to get 10. You know, like the bit knesset, they could always get like 6, and then he's got to call a couple of guys. Guys, we need a minyan, so 2 more show up. It's like, all right, let's figure out what can we do. They start looking for people in the street. Oh, you Jewish? Okay, come for minyan. No, I already prayed already. No, just come stand with us. Just stand with us for a half hour. We got to pray. And you try to get to 10. If you're one of those places, then yes. Then yes, you have to make sure that those 10 people are all Shomer Shabbat. Why? Because if one of them, not all of them, just one, is a Mechalel Shabbat, the minyan is null and void. Now you may say, okay, well, it's not my problem. Why is it my problem that the minyan is null and void? I kept Shabbat. Because if it's Monday or Thursday, or Shabbat, or Yom Tov, or Rosh Chodesh, we take out the Torah. We take out the Torah. You're not allowed to take out the Torah if there's less than 10 people. If there's less than 10 kosher Jews, you're not allowed to take out the Torah. If somebody says Birkat Torah, the Torah is out, you read it from the Torah, and only 9 people are keeping Shabbat, and the 10th one, you're not allowed to say Amen. It's a bracha levatala. You understand? So, now, if you have such a small Beit Knesset, first I would recommend you go to a different Beit Knesset. Try to find one that has at least a minyan and a half, 15, 20, 30, so you don't have to worry about this stuff. But if you happen to be in such a situation, then you have to have some type of, if this is your regular place. If you're just praying on the road, you're praying on the road. You're somewhere, you go to a place, they got 10, you don't have anything, unless you know somebody is outright Mechalel Shabbat, and you don't have any reason to question them, you don't have any reason to doubt them. But if this is your shul, you go there every day, this is your place, you go there every day, and there's 10 people only, then yes, you have to verify that there are 10 people that are keeping Shabbat, or else you have a problem. But also, Rabotai Karim, Batei Knesset is not necessarily just a problem with just the kosher minyan. Sometimes you're not allowed to go because of the way the Beit Knesset is built. For example, there's a Beit Knesset by my house, very big Beit Knesset, and I went there twice. And the first time I had a little bit of a question. Second time, so by the second time I went, I said, no, I have to ask. So I double checked with my rabbi. He says, no, you're not allowed to go there. Why? He says, because the mechitza between the men and the women is almost like nothing. Meaning, it's like see-through, so you can pretty much see all the women. And all the women over there are immodest. So pretty much you're praying, but you're praying next to a bunch of women. You can't even think about prayer. You're thinking about who's this one, who's that one. Says, praise like that, you're not allowed to pray in. Doesn't matter how big it is, how much money they have, all that stuff. So the place itself has to be a kosher place. The rabbi has to be somewhat kosher. It can't be somebody that's a gambler. Can't be somebody that eats tarif, somebody that's a thief. It has to be kosher people. If you don't know, you're just there, and everybody looks religious, you're perfectly fine. But if you see a bunch of guys with tattoos on their face, you probably should pick another shul. Pick another shul if there's only 10. But either way, it all depends on how much time you spend in this place. How much time you spend in this place. If it's a one-time thing, you have a lot more leniency. But if you're there on a regular basis, then you definitely need to know who you're dealing with. I know that when I was in Boca Raton, for the first, 6 months or a year that I was there, I was going to the Sephardi Minyan. And it's a mitzvah to talk about this because this unfortunately happens in other places, plus it's important for people to know what's going on over there. I've said this before. Anyway, one day, every week I see that on Shabbat, the same guy reads from the Torah. Same guy, he's not a rabbi, but he's reads from the Torah, same guy. And he happens to also be a Kohen. He's a Kohen, so he does Birkat Kohanim. And he reads from the Torah. He knows how to read from the Torah. I didn't think much of it. He didn't look, when he was outside of the shul, he never really looked religious to me as far as the way he presented himself, looked. He never wore a kippah. So I started questioning a few things. Like, this is a little weird if you're going to be not only Kohen, not always religious, but if you're going to read from the Torah, if you're going to be the Baal Koreh, definitely need to be religious. So when I saw him a couple of times outside of the shul with no kippah even, I started questioning a few things. So started investigating. What did I find out? Not only is this Kohen not religious, he's married to a Goya. He's married to a non-Jew. And the rabbis know. So it's not like the rabbis didn't know. So I go to the rabbi pretending like I don't know that he knows. I say, by the way, you know that this Baal Koreh you have every week. Every week you have. You know he's not only not allowed to be a Baal Koreh, to read from the Torah, because he's married to a Goya, but he's not even allowed to be a Kohen, because he's married to a Goya. You're not allowed to do Birkat Kohanim. If he does Birkat Kohanim, you have to leave the shul. It's like a Christian doing Birkat Kohanim. Because a Kohen is not only not allowed to marry the non-Jew, he's not even allowed to marry a convert. Even if she converts, he's not allowed to be with her. So there's no way to kosher this. Oh yeah, we know, he tells me, but you know, we've been trying to figure out how to tell him and maybe make a change. I said, what do you mean make a change? The whole Keilah is coming to shul, and the Gemara says, I think it's I'm not going to quote the Gemara, but it's definitely a Gemara, I know it's 16. 16a, 16b. Anyway, the Gemara says, somebody like this, you go there to pray. He's the Baal Koreh, the entire Keilah gets curses from heaven. Instead of everybody getting blessings, the entire Keilah gets cursed. Because of a chazan like this. Because of a chazan like this, Rabotai. Ta'anit. Gemara Ta'anit, page 16b. Entire Keilah gets curses. Said, these people are coming to pray, poor people. They're not coming to get curses. Yeah, you know. And I'm talking to the rabbi here. Yeah, we don't want to embarrass him. Embarrass him? The guy's a rasha. What do you mean embarrass him? Tell him you don't have to necessarily do it in public. Just tell the guy, listen, we're sorry, but until you fix your life and become a kosher Jew, you cannot be Baal Koreh anymore. What's embarrassing about that? Yeah, because everybody knows he's been reading from the Torah for the Keilah already for a few years. I said, Hashem Yirachem. Anyway, Rabotai, I had to get a posek from Yerushalayim to write a 4-page report showing all of the violations that the Keilah is making because of this clown, just to convince them to get the guy off. 4 months of debate, back and forth. Eventually the whole answer was published in one of the Sfarim by Rabbi Chaim. 4 months this debate, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, till obviously they can't, what are they going to do? They can't. Eventually they let him go. But I hear, I don't know for sure, but I hear that he's back. He left, they kicked him off for a little while, but apparently after a little while they brought him back because they wanted to go back to being Rashaim.